Welcome to another episode. In this one, we look at who is responsible for Indian GST tariff. That is, meaning who fixes the GST tariff. So that's what we are going to look because these days I see a lot of discussion about GST are high and they target the government of India. So is government of India alone is responsible for GST? Or is there a way around, or who can reduce all these GST tariff? So that's what we are going to look at. So before going to into that, is GST, is it recently introduced? What was that earlier? That is, GST was brought in India around year 2017. Earlier too, there was tax regimes. Earlier, it was given to each and every state to decide on the taxes. So these were called as excise duty was there with the central government, and then there was state taxes, which means when you do a sales, the respective state government had provisioned the appropriate taxes. For example, if it is a restaurant, yes, a restaurant in Karnataka will have a different tax structure, or if it is in Uttar Pradesh, it will have a different tax structure. If it is in Tamil Nadu, it will have a different, because those things were determined by the state government. Similarly, if it's electrical goods, same thing happened. Then there is service tax, VAT, even entertainment, that is movies, they had the entertainment tax. Then there is entry tax. So many taxes were there earlier. So that's where it was submused into a single one that is called GST. So the first point to understand is that GST is it brought in lieu of all the they say around 25 to 28 or even 32 different types of taxes. They were all brought together as GST. So GST, before that it was earlier tax regime which was classified in different ways, and now we have GST starting in the year 2017 onwards. But the point to note here is there are some of the goods like petrol, diesel, aviation, turbine, and crude oil, similarly, alcohol used for human consumption, that is liquid, that is not under GST, and that is where there is it is following the old model of our old tax regimes. That is, you have state taxes, you have central taxes. This is a kind of a cash cow because for the state government, the revenue from the petroleum product as well as alcohol is so very huge. But none of the, not just one particular state, most of the state doesn't want to give up the taxation because the GST is based on the consensus approach between the state government and the government of India, which is the central government. So unless they agree on a consensus or based on majority, you will not be able to bring in a product into the taxation or fix a tax for it. So there is a, that's where it is called the GST council. But still, as of now, the petroleum product and particularly the alcohol, which means the liquor, is not under GST. That's a point to understand because its revenue is so very huge. None of the state government, I would not say none, most of the state government doesn't want to give up I mean their taxation and take it into GST. So this is a kind of a discussion which is happening. So now you understand that it is something GST might be new, but then earlier as well for decades there were taxes. It is called as different state government taxes, then central taxes, excess duty, VAT, service tax, and so on. Now, an important one: who decides these taxes? If you look at it, as far as India is concerned, you have income tax, which is of course the central government decides it and informed through budget every year because based on the slabs, and there are different tax slabs. Yes, it is out and out done by the central government, which is government of India, as far as the income tax is concerned. But why is that income tax doesn't have so much these days? It is not. Yes, it is talked much talked from a salaried perspective, but people doesn't talk much about income tax because there is slab. I mean, if it is something less than 5 to 7 lakhs, yes, you can always you may not pay that much taxes, and most of the people, I mean, I would say 70 to 80% or of people doesn't come under the income tax slab. But whereas even the common man has to pay the GST, whatever the goods he purchases. And who decides the GST? The point to note here is it is decided by the GST Council. So it is done by the GST Council. That is a point to note here. So it is not just the government of India, but the GST Council, which has representation from all the state governments in India, apart from government of India, the finance minister and his deputy as well. So if you look at it, the main clause as per the Constitution of Act 2016, in case of voting, particularly when the decision is taken, which taxes, what taxes to have, then if it goes to voting, then there are about 35 members, different states are there, then there is a central government, that is government of India as well. So if at all, let's take an example like the petroleum. So if at all, if you want to bring petroleum under GST, then in that case, it's three-fourth. That means out of 30, it's about what to say about more than close to 25 to 28. The council members have to vote for it. So if you look at it, the central government has approximately the weightage based on the weight of the votes. So central government carries 33% weightage. This is not something I am saying. This is taken from the GST Council website itself. So the central government or the government of India weightage on this voting is 33%, whereas all the state government combined to form 66%. So if you look at it, I mean, at a high level, the state government has a higher say because they have about 66%. They have a higher weightage. But even then, even if all states agree, then if the government of India doesn't agree, then also because 75% is the majority mark, so naturally the central government has to agree on that taxation as well. But both the ways it works, state government can stop as well if they are not confident with the whether it is the tariff or for the commodity coming under taxation. The state government can always stop the appropriate taxation or the tariff. So having said that, when the combined vote is more than state, why is that the GST talk is only linked to government of India? Naturally, the states also has a say in that. In the GST Council, they can always, and if all the states agree for it, say for example, if all the state government says we want only 4%, and if government of India says 18%, then all the state constitute 66%. They can always stop it, and vice versa can also happen. So government of India says 4%, and then state government says 18%. Because it is 3/4 or 70% majority is not there, they can. So that means you have a federal structure, which means as far as GST is concerned, it's a kind of a consensus approach or a majority decision. So that is the point important. So this is another one I saw because yes, the GSTs are quite high. This is for a Mahindra diesel engine. If you look at it, it's almost close to one of the in a LinkedIn post. He said about 50% of the amount goes in taxes. Yes, addressed to the government of India. But then if you look at it, there is state GST. That is where there is somewhere in some state. So there is a always, yes, it always has the state GST as well as the central GST. Which is point to note here is it is equal always. Either 14, yes, 14% combines. The rate will be about 28%. Similarly, 5% it will be 5% for SGST, which is the state tax, and central tax will be also 5%. It is not that central government is higher, or it is not that the state government taxation is higher. It's always in the equal percentage. No doubt, it is on the might be on the higher side. Almost 50% might go on the taxes. I mean, I'm not very sure. This is a disclaimer I want to say. I just got this from a LinkedIn post, so I believe the price is correct. So, so I'm not. I've done the due diligence or the casting. So the point to note here is yes, as far as the GST is concerned, it is based on the consensus, it is based on the majority decision, it is done by the GST Council. And who is the GST Council? You have a representation from states, all the states, and you have a representation from the central. And the central constitute about 33% and the weighted voting, which we saw earlier. And as far as the state government, it is 66%, which means the states combined together has higher percentage, even though when it goes to voting, then it has to be 75%, which I have mentioned over here, this point. It is 75% as far as voting is concerned. So, why is then coming back? Why is that GST is having such a high focus area? Why not individual IT tax or corporate IT tax? The catch here is the value. I mean, if you look at GST collections is going up year on year basis. Individual tax collection is also going up, no doubt. That is also going up. But if you look at the volume here, as far as GST is concerned, it's about 20 lakhs crores INR. So that's it's almost 10 times of the corporate IT collection, and as far as individual IT collection, it is 7 times. So it is a huge chunk of money. Both state governments wants it, and the no doubt the central government of India wants it, no doubt on that. But no doubt it is a burden for common people. But that is where each one will like to play it safe, because India is a democratic country, and the state government as well as the central government want to play it safe and push the ball to the other stakeholders. Maybe state government can say that government of India is collecting huge taxes. On the other hand, government of India can always say state government is not coming up with appropriate proposal to reduce the taxes, thereby reduce their revenue collection as well, because it is equally shared. Naturally, if the taxes are going to get reduced, then the state government tax collection, the revenue collection will going to come down. Similarly, government of India tax collection and revenue collection is going to come down. So no doubt it's a burden to the common man. As far as GST is concerned, both government of India as well as individual state government, all the states in India has to make a collective decision through the GST Council. So that is what I thought I should convey in this presentation. I hope you now have a clarity as who is responsible for personal income tax. No doubt it is done by the government of India through their budget presentation, and year on year basis they may increase the tax slab or reduce the tax slab. But as far as GST is concerned, it's a collective effort involving the GST Council, which has the member representation from the states as well as government of India. I hope you found this presentation useful. Do subscribe to my channel. Thanks and cheers.